Bryan Danielson can say he doesn't want the AEW World title as much as he wants. I think he might actually win it. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD, where we're going to be talking about Bryan Danielson putting his career on the line at All in Wembley. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe down below. Leave a comment with what you thought of this episode and send in your Omegachats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5 while we talk about Bryan Danielson. He needed a good segment to make us think that he actually cared.
Well, yeah, so the story, I think the fan story so far has been, no, I wanted it to be Hangman. Oh, I wanted it to be Hangman. Hangman's the feud I'm actually really invested in terms of the Swerve storyline. And we saw that with Blood and Guts last week, like just those two in opposite rings, and the crowd were going like, holy S, holy S. So going into this episode, it was Danielson needs to now convince the AEW fans that this is the correct main event for All in Wembley. And it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like we're in a really weird period in wrestling where we're now having to ask the best wrestler on the planet to convince us he should be the main event of the biggest show of the year.
Well, I think it's because, particularly this year, wrestling, what people have enjoyed in it, is far more about the storyline, and then the match is like a good bit at the end of it. Whereas Bryan Danielson, I would say, for his entire time in AEW, has gone in-ring wrestling first. And I think that model has become not dated. I think it will come back round again. But right now, it's the storytelling is king, and then it's the match.
I think we saw that in the MJF feud.
And then with Danielson, he hasn't really had... I'm not saying AEW doesn't tell stories. I'm just saying, like, where's Danielson's big story?
Well, he's retiring.
Yes.
And in his
but seems cool with it.
And in his retirement, well, that's so the story has been for the last year that he made the call. Hey, look, I always told my daughter that when she turns 7, I'm going to retire. My contract is up on August 1st. It's the last wrestling contract I'm ever going to sign. So that's it for me. And that's the end of the road. And he's kind of happy-go-lucky Bryan Danielson. I would have liked to have done the G1, but I'd have had to been away from my family, so I guess I'll never get to do the G1. I'm okay with that. I'll do the Continental Classic, and that'll be fun. I'll do the Owen Hart, and that'll be fun. And as it has gone on, he's failed, and he's failed, and he's failed, and he's failed. He lost to Okada. He lost to Zack Sabre Jr. He lost to Will Ospreay. He failed to beat the Elite. And then it was going into the Owen Hart. There was this just like, okay, well, maybe I will go on this drive and I'll get there through to the end. And then even in last week, you had that interview with Renee where he was like, look, I'm going to All In and it's going to be great. It's my last contract and it's going to be great. And Jeff Jarrett was like, what are you playing at? Like, you need to be more driven than this. And that was a bit of a wake-up call for him to finally admit to himself that these failures are not acceptable if you're Bryan Danielson. And that's what this promo was about today. So, like, the story has been there for the last year, and now we've been planting seeds, and now we're getting the bloom of that.
I feel like definitely that is what's happened. I don't feel like it's been a story, though. I feel like it's been a series of things that have happened, and now they've gotten to this point where they're a month out, and they're like, oh, yeah, we did let Danielson just do his dream matches for a year with no kind of overarching... I mean, a year ago, how I would have done it, because we're coming up to the sort of John Cena's final year, there's so many different storytelling things you can do there. Danielson, when he announces, this is my last full-time year in wrestling, last full-time year in AEW, and I'm going to win the AEW World Championship. Mm-hmm. If he says that a year ago, I'm like, wow, yes, here we go. But it's not been like that. So they've had it's a huge task, particularly how Danielson's been in interviews. And I get that that's most likely a work. He's trying to throw a lot of people off the scent. I think right now I'm leaning towards Danielson wins the belt.
Now that the career stipulation is there, I'm pretty pegged on that he's going to win.
Pegged?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm always pegged on things.
So I think they've done that part quite well in making me buy into the stip, but just storytelling wise, I don't think this has been there at all. At all. I think it's been a series of matches that Danielson's wanted to do.
I don't know, because I've brought this up on so many shows that this is the story that they're telling, that I think I've just been there all along, that this is the story that they're telling.
And I think it's a story that's there. I don't know if they've been telling it.
I don't know, because I
feel like you've had to do a bit of work there.
Well, you say that I've had to do a bit of work there, but then we've got this promo which just confirmed everything that I thought they were doing.
Yeah.
So does that not say then that was the story that they were doing? It's just that people weren't paying attention to it.
No, you can look back and go, all these things happened. Now it's a story.
But I was saying them at the time.
Yeah, you were saying at the time. I was like, I don't know if that's...
So I'm smarter than you. Is that
You're smarter than AEW. Well done, Luke.
Is that the conclusion you're making? Well, I'm trying to confirm what you're telling me.
This is difficult because I enjoyed this episode a lot, and I think this was a very good segment to do to make to all these concerns and sort of missed opportunities that I feel they've had. They're now working towards that final month build to this huge match, and I think it's going to be very good.
I also think there's part of it of you can now use this opportunity to look back and be like, oh, there was a story. It just like it wasn't overtly clear. It wasn't overtly in your face. This is the story that we're telling. And now it's like all of it is, as I said, they were planting seeds, and now the flowers are in bloom, and we're deep into the story. But because like those losses were done for a reason, and that
Danielson
was to get
didn't really bring up the losses.
Yeah,
Swerve did.
Because Danielson did say, like, I'm living in the moment, I'm doing this, and I've realized I now need to do this. I promised I was going to do all of these things. I promised I was going to do 2 things. I've done one of them, but I haven't done the other one. And it's being fired up by Jarrett, and now it's being fired up by Swerve as well, because Swerve's like highlighting a lot of these things that he's not admitting to himself. Maybe that I'm putting that onto it. And now we are getting the story, even though the story has been there, it's just that it's not been front and center of what AEW has been doing.
I suppose we're saying very similar things. I like your story that you've invented. Now, I really like the story, and it is there, but maybe, I mean, I guess I feel it should have been far more prominent.
I actually don't disagree. I actually think you could have done more focus on it. I think you're right.
See that internet? That's 2 guys working out misunderstandings. Absolutely.
That is having a difference of opinion, but hearing each other's opinions.
Photographic evidence is what you need, usually.
Well, you need to put a watermark on it, though, if it's going to be real. And what's the point I was going to make then?
Sorry.
It's fine, because I think you're right. Like, I think if you'd have had Danielson make his announcement last year, and he was like, and by the time I'm done, I want to win the AEW World Championship. And then it's like, every opportunity he keeps failing. And I think we are in an era and a world where you do just kind of have to just tell people this is the story. Doing things sort of in a subtle way isn't really working for people. People need to be told, this is the story we're telling. Make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, I think subtlety is still there. Like a lot of the CM Punk MJF feud was enormously subtle.
That was 2 years ago.
The Sami Zayn looks to the side, Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline, those sorts of things.
You say it's subtle, but it's like it's obvious.
That is wrestling.
That's what I mean. that's what the point I'm making is. Whereas if you just do a story, and I'll do Bucky O'Hare, is a story where someone loses a bunch of matches, and then they'll be like, and that now becomes part of the story. It's not signposted from the start. This is the story that we're telling. And I think that's the bit that people probably actually want from their wrestling story is, no, tell me from the start, this is why he's losing all of these matches, so that I now know where we're getting to at the end.
Let's go through the actual segment. Bryan Danielson comes out and he says, "It's so great to be here in Greenville." And the crowd popped and he went, usually people say that for a cheap pop. It's genuine. Me and Bree came here. That's where we got our engagement photos. This freaking guy is lovely.
I thought of you when he said that as well, because you thought that was a con.
Well, it still is. It's just the wedding industrial complex have convinced a lot of people that they need things now.
I had wedding engagement photos done, and Ollie was,
happy for you.
And he had this with me. He was like, well, that just feels like it's a complete rip-off. I feel like you've been mugged off by a photographer, that this is something that you actually need. And then you saw the photos, and you went, yeah, actually,
they're really sweet.
They're really quite nice, though.
So he's talking about 2 things, like Luke said. It's being present in the moment. So he's effectively on borrowed bonus time. He retired, and now he's there, and he's getting to do all these amazing matches he never thought he'd be able to do. So he's trying to be present in those moments and enjoy them. And the other thing is promises. He promised his daughter when she was 7, he'd stop wrestling, and
That's
this
what
will
said to Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Stop retiring.
And this will be the last contract he ever signed.
And it expires today.
And yeah, and the whole crowd went, "Oh, you guys don't even read the internet." Everyone knows it was, but it was a really good moment.
Yeah.
And showed like how shocking that is. And then Swerve comes out and... Oh, no, sorry. Bryan also talked about promises, but he never promised that he'd win the AEW World Championship.
Yeah, he just said, I've made 2 promises since I came here, which was to kick people's heads in and win the AEW World Championship. And I've kicked a lot of people's heads in, but I've not won the AEW Championship. And this might be... No, in fact, this is my last chance. But I promise you that I'm going to Wembley and I'll be present for that moment. And at All In, with all of my soul, I will go all in. But you're right. Crucially, never said, I promise I will win the AEW World Championship. And why is that important, Oliver Davis?
Because classic wrestling logic is that if you're a babyface and you promise something, you actually have to follow through on it.
Yeah.
And he never said he said he's going to give it his all. That sounds loser talk to me. I don't want that from Bryan Danielson in potentially his last ever match.
It's what second place people say.
Sounds like you don't want it enough, Bryan.
Do we need Jeff Jarrett out here again?
So Swerve comes out. He says the AEW World title isn't an achievement award. I thought that was a killer line. Mm-hmm. And that Danielson lost to Ospreay, Swerve won. Danielson lost to the Elite, Swerve won as part of his team. All In, Danielson was too beat up to go there. Crowd weren't really reacting to some of these lines, but I thought they were good.
I thought they were really, really good. Yeah, I'm in particular just like highlighting which Swerve has done already, actually, which is that I've done a lot of the things that you can't and have not done. So I thought it was really nice for them to do it. But you're right, like I don't feel like it was a good crowd all night for a lot of things. Like there were some moments where the crowd were alive for it, but then other times where they were like really quite bad.
Danielson then said off the back of this, if he can't win the belt, I'll never wrestle again. It's title versus career at All In, which really leveled up the stakes.
Absolutely. You know, Swerve shakes his hand and said, don't keep that promise to me. Keep it to your family. Because Swerve, the other line he had in this promo was like, I don't think you realize I am the most dangerous man in all Elite Wrestling. And you're not only not going to walk out of All In as the world champion, you might not walk out at all. So, which I think like Swerve's... The way that Swerve spoke to him is kind of what... I don't think Danielson went into this promo thinking he was going to lay this stipulation on the line. Certainly based on the segment that came after this. So it was almost like Swerve's words kind of got to him, got under his skin. Probably was highlighting, this is where I've succeeded, where you have failed over the last year. That has made it be like, well, fine. If this is it, I'll retire. And it's it. And I will never wrestle ever again. And it kind of fired him all up. And then the line of, you want to keep that promise to your family. I'm a dangerous man. Is why Danielson stormed backstage, refused to be interviewed by Renee, and almost got angry at Jarrett, being like, this is your fault.
Yeah, so he challenged Jeff Jarrett to a match next week. It's not the all-out first title defense I would have hoped for from Danielson, but at least we're getting Jeff Jarrett versus Danielson before then.
Yeah, I think I've said on a previous podcast, Bryan Danielson, I think I might have even said it with the show I did with Tempest, Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Championship at All In front of 50-odd thousand people is the most Tony Khan booking decision that he could possibly do, because Tony Khan's just like, Bryan Danielson, bro, I don't need that, bud. Like, I'm happy to just lose to whoever. But Tony's like, no, you're Bryan Danielson, you're the American Dragon. You should win the title, and it should be in front of the most fans that we could possibly get for you. And it should be the main event of this show.
Yeah. I mean, we could have had a world where Sting was also retiring on this show. And he would have won the tag belts and vacated them.
There's a part of me, though, and this is the beauty of Bryan Danielson, I suppose. It was the kind of the comedy going into this was like, I don't know if Bryan Danielson can convince me that he should be in the main event of this. But the second that he starts talking, you're like, oh, no, of course, he's the best wrestler on the planet and has been, for so many years for a reason. It's not just that he's an incredible in-ring wrestler. It's also because he's such a good, likable character and a likable person. But the magic of Bryan Danielson is that, sure, him putting his career on the line indicates towards he's winning the title, particularly because he has said, and Tony Khan has said, we do have plans for him to wrestle with us after All In. But the magic of Danielson is just like, yeah, but he does just like to put people over, doesn't he? And what a completely perfect way to end off the Bryan Danielson story is that he fails again.
I don't see failure as part of the story. I know he's lost all these times, but I've not been told, apart from that one Swerve line, you're Bryan Danielson, this is not the killer last year. Like, you've lost all the time. You're a failure.
Yeah. What I mean more is like Bryan Danielson, and you like kind of tie that into the Daniel Bryan story as well, is just at his last opportunity to win the title, and he still doesn't do it, and he just goes out on his sword, and he goes out in front of this large crowd. So it feels like a lovely way to end the Bryan Danielson story.
Oh, I don't know about that. But what I will say is I thought Swerve balanced his face-heel sides really well. This wasn't I love AEW Swerve that we weirdly got for a month or so. This was I'm still a dickhead.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna hurt you.
I am the most dangerous man on this roster.
Shall we see what the Omegachats are thinking? Let's get this up here.
Well, Noshua here says, "Hi guys, when the lights went off in the Darby Hangman match, I thought Shane's debuting this quickly, huh? Overall, I enjoyed the show. A title versus career match at All In is a superb main event, and getting to see that live is going to be phenomenal."
It's going to be my first time ever seeing Bryan Danielson live.
Oh, I think it's mine as well, actually.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and could see it for the final time.
Yeah, that means I would have seen CM Punk's final AEW match and potentially Danielson's final AEW match.
Yeah, a year apart.
Apart.
Space Viking here said, "I really don't want Bryan to win since this isn't the match I wanted. I think the stipulation gave away the finish, but I think in the bigger picture, it will be awesome if my prediction is correct. Bryan wins by turning heel or because of Hangman. Honestly, I hope for both. Heel BCC, Bryan sounds tasty, especially versus Darby, first time ever match. Plus, puts over Swerve in his legit hometown at WrestleDream, then the feud continues with Hangman at Full Gear."
I don't think Danielson will be received as a heel. There's got to be a point as a wrestling booker where you're like, I can't book Shawn Michaels as a heel anymore because people just want to cheer him. Similar thing happened to Ric Flair, although Ric Flair maybe has undone that somewhat in recent years.
Vince Russo tried his darndest with Sting.
Yeah.
And people just weren't going to boo Sting.
So I don't think turning Danielson heel is a good idea.
I don't think you can do because I think almost what Space Viking is pitching there is the AJ Styles finish, which is just like you wrestle as a babyface the entire match, then right at the end when the referee's back is turned, kick in the dick and the Psycho knee, and you get the win and you go heel. After the Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah. It's a great heel turn. It'd be a great angle, but I just don't think it will work in the long run.
I also don't think it's the time to do it. And Thriller Reader 84 said, "Hey, Luke and Ollie, can you say plot holes and lies with the Danielson story? I'm only going to retire only to still wrestle at Wembley out of contract. Obviously, what he said to family meant nothing, but that's okay because he gets to go for the title. It's nonsensical."
I think it's okay. I guess, are you saying that the contract should have ended at the end of August? Or maybe the day of All In?
Yeah. I think the news probably would have come out. But in fairness to this, Danielson's promo last year said, "It's after All In is when I'll stop." So he said it from day one of this. I'm going up until All In.
And also, you can wrestle without a contract. Yeah. So he's kept that promise. His daughter, I assume, is still 7 for a period of months.
Yeah, I think 12 of them.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't think that is nonsensical in my opinion.
Let's go through the full play-by-play review. Please do keep getting your Omega Chats in. WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5. The show began with MJF, our American hero, with the American Championship and the ugliest jacket you've ever seen. Probably borrowed from Cody.
Yeah, I think it's... There's someone, I think it was Kate from Fightful, who said, if this does not end with MJF calling himself the American Nightmare, what are we even doing here?
Well, he just called himself the American Dream, might get more heat.
Yeah.
And his whole act is that he's the American champion, but he's not for this local town.
Yeah.
So he starts crapping on South Carolina, says they're all addicted to meth, classic MJF line, and that he's going to beat Will Ospreay at All In. So Ospreay sprints down and chases MJF off and brings up I'm going to beat you up for what you said about my family last week, which was the pretty hard full-on line about Will's recently passed grandma. but then mostly took it back to the America versus UK vibe.
I said this in last week's show. I get the American title change because you are then going to defend that in the United Kingdom, and it's all to add heat to it. So like MJF can come out as this all-conquering American guy up against the Brits who is looking to win back this title and rechristen it back to an international title. Plus, it's a lovely parody of what Will did when he was in New Japan. I think the problem is, for me at the very least, I don't care enough about UK versus America, and I don't think a lot of people do either. I don't think him coming in with an America title is going to get him a lot of heat in the UK.
I agree. I think MJF will get MJF heat.
Yeah.
And if Will's like, oh, I'm going to when I win it back, it's now the international title again. I don't really care about that either.
I don't think,
If he's like, this is now the UK title, you'd get a pop, but I don't think he's going to do that.
No, because then that would just get you heat when you go back to the US.
Exactly. And when he's here, like, Ospreay, he did as good a job as he can. He's such a good promo, and he's going through the list of international champions, and Max has disrespected their legacy, all the hard work they put in. But then the crowd still started to chant USA.
Because they're Americans. And if you just keep talking about America, do you know what they're going to do? Chant USA. And Ospreay has to then be like, yeah, I know you like America, but he doesn't. I'm with you guys. I like this place. He's disrespecting you. Let's put the heat back on him, shall we?
Yeah, I feel like this is quite a first or second draft idea.
This is a idea that only works at the end when you have the match in London.
Yeah,
it doesn't work in the 4 weeks. Actually, the 3 weeks, because the last week will be in Wales. So but it doesn't work now. It works in principle of I'm the champion of America, but not this bit of America that I'm currently in. That's fine. It's superficial, but it's fine. But if you keep talking about America, the Americans just start to chant USA, and then that sounds like they're chanting for Max.
Yes.
I don't think this is working. Last week, I gave this the benefit of the doubt. I was like, let's see what they come up with. Let's let it play out. Week 2 of this, perhaps I'm jumping the gun slightly too early here. I don't think it's working that well.
I think it worked great in CMLL when he's down there this weekend. It's going to work great when he's in London against Michael Oku.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not playing well on TV. That, you did?
Yes. Yeah, I've got us 2 tickets if you do want to go.
But I thought you said you couldn't make it.
Well, I bought tickets in case I could.
So you can't come anymore?
Well, I think I can, but I need to double check.
And it's this...
No, it's next week.
Fine. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want to go to that. And then Max can shout at us for badly reviewing his new gimmick. You know what it makes me feel like? And I'm like, Kevin Owens, fantastic promo guy, wrestler, love his character. I can't think of any Kevin Owens characters I didn't get on board with. And then he does the Face of America gimmick. I'm like, oh, that one didn't work.
It's amazing that one didn't work.
Yeah,
and
because he's Canadian and that's the gag. I feel like it's a similar thing here. It's a great idea on paper, the idea of Kevin Owens, Canadian, being Mr. America.
It worked when Lance Storm did it, though. When Lance Storm won the United States Championship and renamed it to the Canada Championship, it really worked because then he would have like Canadian rules matches, and PCO was on the outside being an enforcer and a guest referee and stuff, and that was all that was wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like Max is, of course, he loves old tricks, and he's trying to make them new and fresh again. And what is an older trick than classic bit of xenophobia?
Yeah, of course.
And he's trying it. I just don't think it's... Max always does everything exceptionally beyond my wildest dreams. And this one is just coming in as quite average.
Me too. I actually wrote in my notes here, this was a simple segment, but this USA thing just isn't working as planned.
But it then turned into Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer, which was just... I think it went about 10 minutes, but it's perfect. Yeah. Perfect TV match with those two guys.
Absolutely.
Ospreay sells a bunch, gets thrown around, hits this like 2 Spanish flies, and one of them being off the second rope or something. Amazing. 2 hidden blades, one to the side of the head, but it's got the elbow pad on, so Lance kicks out at 1, second hidden blade for the 3 count. Proper one. But then Max jumps Will right afterwards. He's going to use a diamond ring, but Kyle Fletcher makes the save.
So Dave Meltzer has said that this was not the original person intended. It was someone else, but commitments got in the way. I'd imagine he'll say who it is in the newsletter this coming Friday. Who do you think it was? Because he said it's not Oku.
He said it was someone outside the box.
Yeah. But he categorically said, because someone said Michael Oku, and he said, oh no, it's not Oku, because Oku doesn't have commitments that would have stopped him doing this.
Yeah. So who's got commitments right now?
Shane?
Yeah, I don't know. When I hear that very outside the box, I don't think wrestler. I think maybe it was a celebrity person. Maybe it's Damien Sandow as Paul Revere.
I mean, that would be...
Because they're playing up the Redcoats thing and all the US versus UK stuff.
And if it's someone to come out and say they were a friend, could it have been a Ricochet, maybe?
Bobby Lashley, MVP.
Yeah, but the thing with commitments...
But why would you put them in this story?
Well, also that, but they have, like... They're still under contract. Yeah. Right? Their contracts aren't up yet. So that's... I suppose
we don't know for sure.
That is commitments, I guess. Well, MVP did say at GCW, my contract is coming up. But I don't
Maybe
know.
It was Tuesday. It's the 1st of August today.
Could be. So I don't know. But it was Kyle Fletcher in the end. And I've seen a few people say that this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, have we all forgotten how...
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. They were in the same stable together. Also, they were in the same stable together in a different promotion. They are legit best friends and stuff. One of Will Ospreay's first TV matches was the Kyle match. And you can see that Don Callis was kind of playing this up to be like, I'm not for this. I don't like that we're helping this Will Ospreay chap when he left us. But Kyle Fletcher then has to do the Yay America speech, while being in a thick Australian accent, to be like, it's because when I was a kid, I wanted to wrestle in America.
Yeah.
And I've now got to America, and I've married a hot girl, and I've got a cool life, and, I've got a cool job. Thanks, America.
F you, Australia. you didn't do anything for me.
You gave me nothing. All you do is improve other countries' reality TV shows. That's all you're good for.
Make Clapham too crowded. Hey, he had a difficult task. I thought he cut a great promo.
Me too.
Really carried himself well. Just on the Redcoats thing, by the way, we don't really refer to ourselves as Redcoats here.
So he's not about Butlins then?
Well, that's it. I hear the word Redcoats, and I think the holiday camp workers in Butlins.
Yeah, so we have holiday camps across the country called Butlins, and if you are one of the entertainers there, you wear a red blazer, and you're called the Redcoats. So whenever he talks about that, that's the only thing I think of. Yeah. I actually was talking to some of my American friends about this on July 4th, because I think that's when they do this sort of thing. I was like, look, I don't really know what you're celebrating this for. I think it's something to do with us. And they were like, yeah, it's you, we won. I'm like, grand. I don't actually really know what it is, but I'm happy that you're happy.
It's a bigger deal for you than it is for us.
We don't get taught it at school, probably because we lost. We don't get taught that stuff at school.
Oh, but World War I and II. Oh my God.
Winner, chicken dinner.
On a streak. On a hot streak.
Can't be beaten here.
What happened after that? We don't talk about anything after that.
Henry VIII, that's what we'll talk about instead.
Won that one.
We won that one. He won 7 times out of those 8 until the 8th one finally won.
So yes, we've got MJF versus Kyle Fletcher next week, which will be exciting. Really looking forward to that. Max made the threat that he's going to break Kyle's neck, just like he beat up Daniel Garcia loads. So a name drop of Daniel Garcia just a day after a report came out that Garcia hasn't decided whether he's staying or going.
Yeah. Do you think he'll stay?
I think he'll stay. Apparently, that's what most people think backstage as well. We got a video package on Swerve Strickland. Jericho's backstage, and Big Bill has a cake for Jericho for having held the FTW title for 102 days, and the cake did not go in anyone's face.
When they set that up, I really thought it was going to go in someone's face later on in the show. So I was surprised to see that Jericho did not feature anywhere else on this show.
Or just someone comes back in, Brian Keith, and whacks it into Marvez's face.
Or Shibata does it. Like Shibata comes in and he hits the cake into Jericho's face and then does a little thing on his phone that says, haha, the cake went in your face.
This is tasty.
Yeah.
Brian Keith is taking on Shibata next week. Then we got Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. I've enjoyed this feud a lot.
Me too.
But the crowd were dead. up until a Death Valley driver on the apron.
Yeah.
And then they started like, oh, yeah, we love Willow. And they got into it.
Yeah.
Went back and forth a bit longer. And Stokely distracted Aubrey Edwards, letting Chris hit Willow with the chain round the fist to win.
Yeah, attacked her with a chair after the match, and security came down to break it up.
So this was a CMLL Women's Championship Eliminator match.
Correct.
So Chris will now get to face Willow again.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the all-out match.
Yeah, or it happens in CMLL.
Or it happens in CMLL, which actually, it's quite cool.
Another title in AEW. What do you think about that?
I've got my own microphone.
I was trying to do an interview.
I don't see the problem with this one.
I do.
If it was an AEW title, I would see your point. But it's another company's belt, so it's not another title in AEW.
Too many belts. If these belts were men and they were trying to get into my club, I'd say too many men. Can't get in here.
Don't lie. You'd let all the men into your
I'd
club.
let all the men in. We'd have a great time.
Come on in, lads.
Karaoke, shots, karaoke. Bryan Danielson then had his promo. We've already spoken about that. Then we got time for some six-man fun.
Hey! It's like they do watch this show, and they're like, maybe they're right. We should just book a six-man on every show.
Just have six-man fun every time. These 6 men are in the club.
Make sure that Roderick Strong's in it. Because I actually feel like, low-key, he is the backbone of these trios matches.
While breaking other backs.
Exactly.
It's Roderick Strong, The Beast Muertos, and Roosh versus the conglomeration lineup of Mark Briscoe, Tomohiro Ishii, and Orange Cassidy.
And did you look at Mortis and Tomohiro Ishii? I was like, which one of you's taken the pin then?
Yes! Exactly. And
I did the same thing too.
Mortis got the pin over Mark Briscoe.
The second that Ishii tagged in as we were getting to the finish, I'm like, well, okay. Here you are. Thanks for coming, bud. I'm glad you're here for the summer. Take the pin now, will you? No, Mark Briscoe got pinned.
Mark Briscoe?
Mark Briscoe.
So, yeah, I've criticised AEW quite a bit in the last couple of months where I felt their TV's really predictable. Like, great matches, but I know who's going to win. The Statlander result surprised me. This result surprised me. And the main event surprised me as well. So I thought they had a really good balance of just enough unpredictability.
The Statlander one didn't, only because Willow won the first one. So I thought Stat wins the second, then you could do the rematch, the rubber match for the third. But this one, 100%. As I said, I genuinely thought the second that either one of them tagged in, I was like, and we're going to the finish. You're about to eat that pin.
I think Mortos has gone himself over in those collision appearances. So they thought, let's have him pin Mark Briscoe, ROH title feud.
Well, and also Shane McMahon is, they're asking, I need some top guys on my brand.
I want that beast. I thought this was really fun. Just Mortos was great with everything, particularly the Ishii stare down. And then you got an Ishii Roosh stare down. And they were not giving any ground to each other.
It was awesome.
Like, they both really wanted that. They were legit alphaing.
Yeah. Roosh headbutting Mark Briscoe as he was doing the J Driller as well. Really felt like he gave it all to that headbutt. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am the broken record here. Put the trios match on every single Dynamite and I'll always have a good time.
Roderick, the heels.
I think that's about the next segment then. I was about to rag on the next segment.
The random heels winning, I like. It was unpredictable. But yeah, I wish. Wasn't Roosh going to get a faction?
He's in the faction. He's in the Don Callis family. That's why Don Callis was on commentary.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, I wondered why he was on commentary.
Yeah, because he's there and he talked about supporting his guy.
I thought he was talking, I don't know, about Orange Cassidy. I forgot we moved past that storyline. I guess Takeshita's in the G1.
Yeah, he's busy.
Hobbs is injured.
Yep.
Fletcher's
dating
got a new boyfriend.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't complain. It was really fun. Yes, the next segment.
What is this all about? At the end of this, I was one of those throw my hands up in the air being like, what are we doing now?
Well, Max Caster is the best wrestler alive. He said it twice.
Yeah, because that's his new gimmick, because FTR cut a promo saying that they don't think they're serious wrestlers because they do raps. So Max Caster's all mad at FTR because they said that they're not doing, good wrestling, and just like, hey, look, we just survived Blood and Guts. We led Team AEW's Blood and Guts. You couldn't do that when you were facing them in Anarchy in the Arena. We're going to prove to you that we are the best wrestler, and he's this, that, and the other, and he's daddy ass, and we're going to come find you at Collision. And I'm like, your problem's with the Young Bucks. You're the #1 contender to the tag titles. You just beat the Young Bucks in Blood and Guts. Why isn't this the focus of your promo? Why are you now looking over this way to FTR? Yeah. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I was annoyed by that as well. Particularly because that same day, I'd read Young Bucks haven't defended their titles since winning them in April.
But they did lose the Eliminator match.
Yeah, they won one other Eliminator match. And they've had Anarchy in the Arena and Stadium Stampede. But it really has suffocated the tag division.
Well, but who are the other tag teams?
The Acclaimed.
It's the Acclaimed. It's FTR, which we've already done. It's the Lucha Bros, which we've already done. But
I'd like them to have matches.
Well, I do too. But again, I come back to, I think this is supposed to be the Motor City Machine Guns, and them not going in has kind of stifled a lot of their plans. I think that was supposed to be their tag feud going into the summer, and them basically choosing WWE over AEW has meant that they're like, oh, well, we actually haven't got any other tag teams to feud with now.
Grizzled young vets.
I'd love to have been them as well.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But yeah, quite past this. Mariah May had a sit-down promo, which was pre-recorded with Renee Paquette. She didn't really say anything new, but I thought this was much better than her in-ring promo.
This felt like a response to the in-ring promo not getting over by, let's just say it again, but in a pre-tape.
Yeah. And then Toni Storm came out on the ramp. She cried a lot. She spoke about how she loved Mariah, and she seems quite psychotic.
This will be the romance of a bloody lifetime. They said that the attack has sent her over the edge. I thought this was awesome by Storm. I think she looks really wild at the moment. And I love the Mariah May promo that came before. I thought it was really, really effective. Not as effective as the next segment, which I thought was a wonderful build for the TBS match.
Because Mercedes Moné should have been a heel from the start. She is perfect. She came out here. We got a clip of Comic-Con, which was really cool, and the panel and Britt Baker and Mercedes squaring off to each other.
You can't quite see it in there as well, but she's dressed as Poison Ivy, and Kamille is dressed as Bane.
I didn't notice Bane.
Oh, which Bane? Oh, well, it's proper Bane, so it's Batman and Robin Bane.
And Kamille was out here.
She's Poison Ivy.
The Brick House.
The Brick House.
The Brick House Kamille got a squash match.
Clearly Lionel Richie fans.
Destroying Brittany Jade, who's an enhancement talent, while Mercedes is just gleefully watching outside. And then afterwards, Moné gets in the ring and she says, Kamille is the newest member of my faction, the Moné Corporation. There's two of them. Oh, I love that. I loved it because it's a heel thing to say. Say we're a faction when you're a team. But also, maybe she's getting a faction.
Could be.
Who else would you put in there?
Could put the Renegade Twins in there if they're both fit and healthy again. If you want to put some names in there, I wouldn't mind Lady Frost being part of the group. Who are you thinking?
I don't know. Jamie Hayter. That'll screw with Britt.
Yeah,
But maybe they're grooming a Jamie return to go against the tag team of Moné and Kamille.
Yeah, someone mentioned this last week, and I think I sort of had this idea in my head of putting Jamie Hayter straight back into the AEW Women's Championship picture and putting her with Toni Storm and Mariah May, and basically just doing Stardom, but in AEW. But it does make way more sense for her to make her return in the Britt Baker match and position. If Moné wins it all in, they do the beatdown, and that's when Hayter makes her return.
Yeah. And Mercedes also revealed that Britt Baker is suspended by the EVPs.
Yeah, my EVPs.
Why doesn't Tony just unsuspend her?
Well, because you need to go through Christopher Daniels first.
And they beat him up.
And they beat him up last week, so not much more you can do with that, can you?
But Tony also made it a title versus career match, or...
Well, that was Danielson that made it a title versus career, and then Tony Khan signed off on it.
Didn't know. Tony Khan made it Mercedes versus Britt.
Yes.
At All In.
Yeah. Yeah, he made the match. That was on Saturday.
Okay.
He's distracted by the Robert Downey Jr. news now. He was also there for that.
And the final match, the main event, was Hangman Page versus Darby Allin. I don't know if you watch my news today, but I'm like, there's a Mandela effect going on. These two had a 3-month feud in the pandemic. Those no-fan shows in Jacksonville, they had a 3-month feud.
I said this to you because we were looking at the match card and you were like, oh, wow, they're doing Hangman versus Darby. I said, yeah, can you believe that's a first time ever match? You went, no, it's not.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
But get on Cage Match right now. Get on. I'm serious.
Okay.
Get on Cage Match. Go to the Internet Archives. They've wiped it.
Internet. Was it the I?
Oh, no. This is going to take too long.
DB?
Well, we don't have the... That's just...
That's the Irish
Wolfhound database. How many Wolfhounds are there?
Darby Allin versus Hangman Page. There you go. They've got a YouTube video called For the First Time Ever.
Yeah, because they need the clicks. Next, honestly, they're going to start promoting the Bucks versus FTR as a first time ever match.
But I'm getting no other results, so maybe it is a first time ever match.
They've Mandelaed it.
Okay,
They've Mandelaed it.
I'll add 2020 to it because I think that'll help us. Yeah, no, it's only bringing up this one.
Can if you've got a memory of them wrestling in the comments, please do send it in. We're going to expose these merging timelines.
The problem is if it is full on Mandela effect, which I know you believe in, then we've got no evidence to back it up because everything will have been rewritten. The only thing we've got are other people's histories, and they might just tell us that Kazam was a real movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was great. This was a fantastic match. Crazy from the start. Darby goes for a bullet dive outside. Hangman Page gets him in a German on the ramp. They go up the ramp. Darby does a coffin drop off the entrance.
Yep.
Then, the sickest thing was a Hangman fall-away slam into the corners of the steps.
Yeah. This is a man who is reckless with his bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Alvarez's least favorite wrestler in the world, I'd imagine. But man, I thought this was a wild, wild beatdown. And it sold the story of the match perfectly well, which is that Hangman was just viciously beating this dude up, but this dude just kept refusing to die. And then Hangman killed him. And he did. He hit him with the Deadeye, hit him with the second one, and Darby was done. Darby was dead. Could have got the pin there. But instead, he was so in his own head that he had to dish out this violence. And he went to do the buckshot. Darby collapsed because he couldn't even stand. And then he just managed to sneak up a technical pinfall, and he got the win. Hangman immediately back up, going after him. I thought it was such a good ending. I know, speaking of, Alvarez was so annoyed that they booked this match going into Dynamite because he's like, neither guy should lose. Because it's Hangman Page, who shouldn't be beaten right now, and Darby, who has got both a TNT and AEW World title shot now. He should not be losing either. And this is one of those finishes where it's okay to lose.
Yeah.
It's how you lose that makes you look credible.
Definitely. Really furthers Hangman's character and story because he didn't look okay in this match.
No, he did not.
The entire time, and I'm sorry for podcast listeners because this is going to be an audioless description. He looks like this. It didn't move. His eyebrows were properly diagonal going into his nose.
I think the further this match went on, the longer this match went on, his brow was so furrowed and his face was so angry. His mustache was getting thicker because he was pushing hair out of his face.
It's going to age him. Performing this angrily, he's going to look 3 years older in a couple of weeks. But he was unhinged, and like you said there, he was so angry he made a tactical error, and that's what let Darby do the roll up. So I thought it was a perfectly booked match. But
the butt man has arrived.
So there was a comment on the news. I didn't read the name because it was actually quite mean. But I thought it was a good description. It said like how Billy Gunn is the ass man. Ollie Davis is the butt man. And I thought he was talking about butts, like asses.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was saying, I really like this bit of AEW, but Bryan Danielson's going to have a great match at All In.
But.
So now I'm hyper aware of it. But I would have liked a bit of storyline reason for this match.
Okay, so here's an update for you. Adam Page defeats Darby Allin on the Jericho Cruise on the second one, which wasn't on AEW TV.
I mean, that still doesn't explain the 3-month feud that happened in Earth 616.
Surely we're six.
Yeah, we're 6.
Yeah, we're 616.
I got confused. I'm a DC guy. I don't know the numberings. I've just got Earth 52.
If the number's not 52, I don't really know what it is, guys.
So I thought last week that one of the more interesting bits coming out of it, at least the questions or the cliffhangers, was, well, what's Hangman doing with the Elite now?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Hangman versus Darby Allin. Darby Allin's going for the TNT title on Jack Perry. I'm like, well, you've got all these bits here. Could you just say that the Elite have forced Hangman to beat up Darby to soften him up for Jack Perry?
But he does got no needs to work with the Elite now, right? Because his whole thing was like, I only want to get my hands on Swerve.
Yeah, but maybe the Elite could be the way of getting him that match post All In.
Yeah. Honestly, and this is going to sound, because people will talk about overexposure, I felt this show was missing the Elite. Like the Bucks and Okada not being on this show, I suppose you can make the argument selling blood and guts, but Darby and Briscoe were wrestling on this match.
And Hangman.
And Hangman.
And Swerve was around.
Which puts over sort of like the craziness of everything and the Acclaimed cut a promo. But the Bucks not being there actually was, I feel like, a detriment to this show. I feel like they do need to be there.
Overall, though, I thought this was a really solid episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 80%.
Yeah, thumbs up for me.
Really good build for All In. Everything sort of built those angles and matches.
We'll get into the rest of your Ultra Chats. Please do get them in, WrestleTalk.com/support. And hey, if you're in the process of clicking links, our moderators are going to be putting some links into the chat for you right now, because we have got a WhatsApp community.
Woo!
So if you're ever annoyed and frustrated at YouTube not actually updating you when our videos go up, when our videos go live, we have now got a WhatsApp community that will let you know that they are up, and you can get through there and you can set notifications and stuff. So our moderators will be posting that. You can sign up and join our WhatsApp community.
The what community?
WhatsApp community.
The WhatsApp community.
General Jimmy G here says, I'm here for the McMadness. If I see Shane at All In, I'll go bonkers. Keep up the good work. See you Saturday for the watch party with Hooked on Wrestling. You can get your tickets for that in the link in the video description as well. Johnny All In says, MJF vs Michael Oku at Rev Pro on the 11th of August. Yes, please. Another match of the year contender incoming. Hope you boys do a meetup at Wembley for All In. Fingers crossed. Plans are being made for that. Announcements will be coming soon. James here said, howdy folks. I think Darby will be champion before the year is over. Each week he gets bigger wins, adding to his momentum. If Ospreay is the number 1 face, Darby is your number 2 face. Love, peace, and understanding to y'all.
Well, I would say Bryan Danielson or Swerve Strickland are the number 2 face. But then it probably is Darby. That does make him the number 4 face. Because Danielson and Swerve.
Oh, right, sorry. Rafael Garcia said, who let Okada into the production truck? You know he doesn't do technology well. He couldn't even keep the lights on during the main event. Aside from that, I like this episode. I know you said the answer is always Penta, but could the answer also be Mortis?
The answer is also Phoenix. So yeah, all of those. But yeah, we didn't talk about that. In the main event, out of nowhere, the lights just dipped. I was like, this doesn't feel like a planned spot.
I thought it was a botch as well. But I believe Sean tweeted to be like, this is something.
Retribution. Dijak. Nice.
Yes, they have just signed. So that does add up.
But they did this in the first All In. They had technical faults throughout the first half of the show, and it was all to build to Chris Jericho invading the Omega match.
It's in Chris Jericho's going to come out dressed as Pentagon again. Nick here said, I really hope MJF comes out at All In with bleached hair and a flag cape, full-blown Homelander heel, since Cody could never make the turn, lol.
It'd be fun, but too many people would cheer him.
Manny Umaria, great job as usual, gents. Can you see the Oku versus MJF match feeding into Ospreay MJF feud, similar to how Jericho turned up at a Rev Pro show last year to attack Ospreay before All In?
It's a few too many weeks before All In, but I definitely think if MJF is beating up Kyle Fletcher on next week's Dynamite, I think the follow-up could be, and now I'm going to beat up this guy you really helped in Rev Pro, Michael Oku. and it could just be Max taking out everyone Will cares about.
But if you do at the Rev Pro show, MJF beats Oku and then beats him down afterwards, and Will runs in to make the save. Yeah. And the final moment of that show is Ospreay and Michael shaking hands again.
Be very cool.
Very cool. I'm really excited to go. Real Double J said, "Hi guys, I'm kind of trying to wish this into existence, that it turns out Jericho's learning tree is an actual person. Think Taker's higher power. I think it'd be higher power. And that tree's name is Shane McMahon. Maybe they'll merge with the Bucks to become the learning elite."
I'm up for anything.
Shane has also got previous of merging two factions together because he merged the corporation with the ministry to make the corporate ministry.
Yeah, I am. I'm into all crazy Shane suggestions. The weirder, the better.
Daniel Martin said, "Tell me I'm not the only one. Shane is going to interrupt the Ospreay versus MJF match at All In. He will attack Ospreay and cost him the match. As he attacks him viciously, he screams at him, 'So grinding on the boss's daughter, hug, bruv.' Thoughts?"
It's the line that Will made about Triple H a couple of months ago. Yeah, that would be...
So he's attacking him because he made fun of Stephanie. But Stephanie's not going to come in. Unless...
Linda.
Or...
Nal Helenly Miss Bandy.
Member for 3 months in a row. Do apologise for getting that so badly. AEW is starting to eclipse WWE as the better product. Again, great weekly TV and pay-per-views, not just great pay-per-views.
I think they're different offerings. I think they're doing both very well at the moment.
An actual alternative. Young Manchego here said, "Ollie, it's not a story. It's a series of events that happen to a guy in a specific order leading up to a thrilling climax for the purposes of entertainment."
Tomato, tomato.
And Mod Mother here has asked me. Sorry, Social Media Abby said she was going to send across the links, so I'll do that now. Hold on. You fill for time while I do this.
Oh my god! I saw Deadpool and Wolverine last night. I really enjoyed it, particularly the. So many spoilers. I thought it had a but. It had lost me a bit in the middle. But I love the opening and the ending thirds. But I hated the person it made me, which is laughing at a lot of some gratuitous butt and dick jokes and explaining to my lady partner so many references. But I knew she didn't get them.
No.
But there was honestly a list of 20.
Because it's not a proper movie.
She enjoyed a lot of it, though.
Yeah. She enjoyed the bits that felt like it was supposed to be an actual movie.
I said, overall, what would you give it? And she went, yeah, that's not that. That is a mid thumbs up. I'm hot take. I might have enjoyed it more than Guardians Volume 3.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Because I've not seen the movie. I am being glib when I do my things like it's not a proper movie. It's just a nostalgia porn thing. It's just watching Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman circle jerking costumes, and that if that's what you want to go pay your $15 to see, then absolutely as long as it doesn't whatever floats your boat, as long as it doesn't sink anyone else's ship. The two of differing opinions are. This is great and it's a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with all the cameos, and this is the worst that cinema can possibly be because all it is just nostalgia porn and cameos.
All right, Scorsese. Well, I would say there's enough character and emotion and story there for me to get on board with it.
Well, that's fair enough. That's because you're superficial. And Ollie Pop here said, "Not those red coats, not getting the MJF gimmick. All jokes aside, I think the belt should have been introduced to All In for max effect, or better yet, the Long Island Championship. But I like the design nonetheless. American pride, what can I say? Raw!"
Should we see what the poll results were?
Absolutely. It was 80% thumbs up. That's 2 weeks in a row now where the poll has been exactly what you scored it.
Man of the people. I'm a basic bitch.
18% thumbs in the middle, hence your thoughts on Deadpool. Because Deadpool hasn't been funny since 2012? Was that the last time that Deadpool was actually funny?
Deadpool and Cable's funny. Oh, I said last time it was funny. Well,
Yeah.
I've not been reading the comics enough.
No, I don't think anyone really reads the
But
comics.
the first and second films are really good.
They're broadly fine. That's all we've got time for on this edition of the show. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do smash that subscribe button. Give us a little thumbs up as well. Leave a comment down below with what you thought of the show. We will be back on Sunday here on this channel doing a review of SummerSlam, but you can watch our live reactions to SummerSlam over on the WrestleTalk News channel, where Pete, Tempest, and Sat will be doing live reactions live in Shoreditch with Hooked on Wrestling with a bunch of amazing wrestling fans, including all of you as well. So, but if you haven't got your tickets already, you can still get your tickets. Click the link in the video description down below. But we will see you on Sunday for the review of I need it all in then. SummerSlam. Till then, I've been Luco and DAD. That's been Ollie Davis. Jam that jam.